him to be here and for us to be part of his team. Let me tell you why. When we first joined our practice company back 2018, we were not on his team. We were in a separate hierarchy, like Prolific. There's other teams like Matthew Welsh's team, but Mario Biona's team. We were not part of Team Alpha, right? And there's this guy, he would jump on stage and he'd bring the house down. Everything. He would close convention. When you're the closing speaker for a convention, that usually means you are the best speaker out of the entire company of hundreds of thousands of agents, right? And that was Paul Hart. And I remember, I mean, he moved a lot of people when he would talk.
Recording in progress.
YouTube, if you want to hear some of his speeches, don't mind the WFG acronym. That's the past. But he closed it down a lot, and he recruited a lot of people just from his videos, his closing down the conventions. I've learned a lot from him. I generally only see Paul when we're traveling. I'd run in Hawaii all the time. Now we run into each other when we're traveling to Nashville and wherever we're going in GFI. Although we didn't live that far apart before. But in either case, I'm very proud to be part of Team Alpha now. It's like I said, it's surreal to be part of his team. Um, and if I got to review the numbers, I believe we are the fastest growing size wise, recruiting wise. We're one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing team in Alpha. So that means a lot because Alpha is known as a recruiting organization. So legend in the industry, co-founder of GFI, $1 million earner, inspirational speaker. A lot of you were recruited just from hearing him speak. So, I want to give it up to Paul. I appreciate him jumping on and just saying some kind words for our team.
All right.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
About to bring it. Let's go.
Give us that heart.
Right,
you.
Paul. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, you're muted, Paul. You're muted, Paul. Paul, can you hear me? You're muted. Oh, shit.
We can't hear you.
Paul, you're muted. Can you hear me?
I think what happened is they put me on mute when everybody went on mute. All right. So thank you for the introduction, JR, and thanks for the invitation, Cheryl, as well. I appreciate that because sometimes people, don't even ask. And I just tell everybody, you want me to help? I'm here. I'm the people's leader. So I'm here to help you guys, whatever I can. I had a training this morning, which was I thought it was pretty good. It was about how to recruit a big agency. And by the way, you guys are. So how is the fastest growing base shop, the fastest growing team inside of Alpha doing this evening, right? So keep it up, guys.
Wonderful. Good to have you here.
Soon to be the fastest growing in all of GFI, and we just want to birth, people that go and build something, right? Because the greatest product we offer people is the opportunity. And, I'll share with you guys in my little time that I have with you guys a little bit about my story because I'm a 21-year overnight success. I've been doing this for 21 years, and I've been all in. A lot of people say, Paul, when did you go all in? Like, when did you really focus on it? I was like, at the BPM. When they invited me to the BPM in July of 2004, I literally believed that, I was like, I've always been on a quest to try to figure out how people make money, and they make a lot of money. And I've always been pretty motivated to have money, simply because money gives you choices and options. And that's what I would like to have. I'd like to have the options. I'm not that much of a flamboyant person. I kind of keep to myself. Nothing against anybody who is flamboyant and likes to put that out there. I got a lot of nice stuff that I don't even wear. My wife gets on me all the time. You don't even wear your Ferragamos. You know how much that costs? I was like, no, don't tell me, right? Because I could have bought probably 10 pair of shoes for what my Ferragamos cost, right? And I'm just that kind of person, but I've always wanted money because I want freedom. I want peace of mind. And so I never knew how to get it. Nobody ever shared with me how to get it. My parents did the best that they could. But when I got introduced to this company, I came in, I didn't even know what I was coming to. And actually, it wasn't this company. I should say the industry, because we came from a previous company. And I didn't understand much, but I realized this was the money business. And if there was ever a chance to achieve financial success, it's going to be in the money business. And so they told me you got to get your licenses and all that stuff. And I really did. And so people say, when did you go all in? When did you really take it serious? because I'm still trying. And I said, right there at the BPM, like I literally went all in. I never went back to school, haven't been back since. My teachers are probably still looking for me. I never went back to my side hustles and my other sources of income. I put my back against the wall and I literally went all in because I've been known to be the jack of all trades. I'm pretty good at multiple things, but I've never been the expert at one. And it kind of haunts you. I like to learn things. I just like learning. I like growing. I like experimenting with things. And I'm always getting bored. Like once I get good at something, I'm bored. I'm on to the next. I get good at it. I'm bored. I'm on to the next. And I've always been beaten by people, whether it was baseball, whether it was basketball, by people who dedicated their time to one thing. And I was like, man, what is that one thing that I'm going to look for in my life that I'm going to dedicate myself towards? And it was kind of like being married. It was like sometimes as a guy, you kind of feel like being married takes away your freedom. But what I found was I actually felt free when I got married, simply because everything, like I know what I'm committing my life to now. It's such a liberating feeling to know you're dedicating your life to one person till death do us part. And it's the same thing when you're building a career. You're dedicating your life. It's called your life's work. Your life's work. And I don't want to be the jack of all trade, expert at none. And by the way, the industry was not even as good as it is today. The opportunity wasn't even as good as it is today. Come to find out, there wasn't even ownership like we have today. Eric Olson was not who he is today, just so you know. And I still went all in. And I think, your perception is your reality. One of the benefits that I had was I wasn't really business smart. Maybe I was street smart, but I wasn't business smart. I didn't really understand the corporate language, So I actually believed everything. I was like, wow, this is how people get rich. I was like, well, I'm going to do it. And I didn't realize that a lot of people have, these preconceived notions, or they've been burnt before, or they've been, maybe misled before. Although I have too, but I've never been led in this sense. And I said, you know what? And what's crazy to me is like the lack of common sense that people have, because even to this day, you hear the same thing, is it a pyramid? And I'm like, man, what does that mean? Like, are you saying, is it illegitimate? I don't know. Like, to me, and especially when they say a scheme, and I'm like, do you even know what that is? Like, do you know that that's illegal? Do you know that you have to get a license here, a government license, and a pyramid or Ponzi scheme is a federal offense? Do you know that? They put Martha Stewart in jail. They put Bernie Madoff in jail, and yet you went on Google and you figured it out that I said, invite the FBI and see if they take me to jail. Invite the San Jose PD, bring them to the BPM. Like, how are we a scam and we try to recruit everybody and put our name out? Wouldn't you kind of hide it if you're a scam? Wouldn't you kind of be selective if you're a scam? Like, holy cow, like I'm getting riled up all over again, because it still fires me up how ignorant people are. It's still like, what are you saying here? Like, it's just amazing. And so, let me kind of reel back a little bit, and then I'll give you guys a couple of ideas, because, they always say compete, but don't compare. Don't compare yourself, because you don't really know what people had prior to signing up, prior to signing their ICA. You don't really know what their mindset was. This whole business really can be summed down to thinking the correct way. And I'm not talking about positive thinking or negative thinking. I'm thinking about correct thinking towards whatever you're trying to achieve, right? There is I guess there is right or wrong, but for instance, if I'm trying to gain weight and my thinking is, man, I don't want to eat, probably not very good thinking. You're trying to make weight for the football team, the wrestling team. You're trying to be a whatever, a bodybuilder, and you're not hungry, probably not a good thing. If you're trying to lose weight and you're not hungry and you're like, man, I'm not hungry, that's a good thing. It's the same thought, but one has a goal, that's one thought. That thought is congruent for the goal, and one it's not. So there's something about having a goal and then having your thinking align with the goal. And then you're going to start to achieve all your goals. And one of the things I realized, like I've always had that. I've always been very motivated growing up. My dad grew up basically in abject poverty, basically in the late 30s, early 40s in the South, Tennessee to be exact. And so my dad grew up with nothing. 11 brothers and sisters. He used to say we had 4. When we went to the bathroom, you know how they tell these stories. We walked uphill backwards in the snow to go to school, right? The old school folks. But I think he told the truth on this one. He was like, we were so poor when we went to the bathroom, we only got 4 little sheets, 4 little squares of toilet paper. And I was like, dang, that's poverty right there. I was like, man, thank God for the middle class. whether I'm lower middle class or whether I'm middle class. Thank God I can choose the school. I don't have to get bused to I'm not living in the Jim Crow era of the South. I could eat at whatever restaurant. I can go to whatever bathroom. I could drink from whatever water fountain. I kind of feel like my dad brought us here to start anew and give us a shot, you know? Like I think a lot of people, maybe your family immigrated here from another country where there wasn't necessarily the same type of segregation there was in the United States per se, but you came here for a better opportunity. And I feel like, now, who am I to know that my dad came from that and I just flatline us at the middle class? I think my dad would be turning over in his grave right now knowing I got you from abject poverty. We bypassed the working class. We got ourselves to the middle class. And then just going to sit there and watch TV and watch Instagram videos and flick through and laugh, and you're not going to fight to get your family to the next level after everything that I did. And I just kind of felt like that. But growing up, I just remember asking my dad for stuff and he would say no. He would say no. And why did he say no? Because probably that's what his dad told him, because they didn't have any money. And I didn't grow up in poverty, but my dad kind of raised me like I have to earn everything. I'm the guy, if we're going to paint the house, I'm painting the house. If we're mowing the lawn, I'm mowing the lawn. If the pipes are leaking, we're not calling a plumber. I'm the plumber, right? If the car's broken down, I got my little jumpsuit on. We're outside wrenching on the car, right? So my dad made sure that we saved everything. We couldn't turn on the air conditioner in the car because it was too much gas money. If you're looking in the refrigerator, I remember opening up the refrigerator as, you know, looking at, my dad would say, you're refrigerating the whole house. Know what you want before you go to the refrigerator. That machine keeps, I'm like, dang. Talk about penny pinching, right? And so maybe that was a little bit of a poverty mindset. Maybe I suffer from that a little bit. Thank God. But what ended up happening was, though, that I started realizing I don't like what it feels like to have another man tell me I can't have what I want. The ice cream man goes down the street. I want some money. I ask my dad. He says no. I hated that feeling. Like, I actually got to ask somebody for what I want. And I didn't understand, but that was kind of started the wheels turning of me becoming an entrepreneur, me loving the idea of commission. Because to me, commission is performance-based income. And if I'm willing to perform, I don't want my income to be flatline. I want to keep on growing, right? High performance people need a performance-based income. So I was like, you know, I don't like this feeling. So I would have little side hustles. I lived down the street from a golf course. I remember me and my buddy, Clarence Jones, who was actually the guy that got me in front of a guy named Juan Jaime and started that whole deal. But Clarence Jones lived in between. Eric lived down the street. I lived here. Clarence lived in the middle. And we used to go down to the golf course. We would find golf balls and shine them up and sell them right back. We were self-employed. We were on commission since we were like 8, 9, 10 years old. Also, I can get a little bit of money, so I didn't have to ask anybody for anything, right? And that kind of started the entrepreneur is a state of mind. It's not a job title. It's a state of mind. You could have a job right now and be an entrepreneur because your mind's, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week building your business, even when you're on the job. You already know when GFI has gotten into your system because everybody at your job realizes something got into you. Like, you're not the same anymore. You already, when you found what you were looking for. And hopefully you guys find what you're looking for inside of GFI. It was very similar to when I met my wife. I went to an island in St. Martin and I was a bachelor, man. We were hanging out. I was, living the life of a bachelor. And then I came back, and then all of my friends I used to go out with was like, man, what got into you? What happened on that island? What were you drinking on that island? What did you eat on that island? And I don't know. I found what I was looking for. I was leaving this life, even though I'm still here. I already know who I'm going to, if she was going to accept me, I already knew who I was going to marry. I already figured that's the person. I got butterflies in my stomach. I didn't know that was going to happen, but everybody around me knew, man, you found somebody, huh? And I was like, yeah. Well, that's the same thing when you find GFI. They're like, man, you're not the same employee anymore. Yeah, because I just found a way to be free. They just introduced me to the Underground Railroad. What the heck am I going to stay here for? Right? And I think if you're still skipping around, and everybody at your job's kind of like, man, something's different about you, and your boss is already knowing that you're on your way out, you haven't caught in the GFI fever just yet, right? You got to catch that GFI fever. Your mind doesn't have to be full-time. You don't have to physically be full-time, but your mind should be full-time. You don't have to physically have a business, but your mind should still be thinking like a business owner. So I get my first job. I was 15 years old. I remember I got a job working at Wheelworks. I was a mechanic. And I started getting my job at Wheelworks. And I just remember what it was like, you know, on an hourly wage and all that stuff. And you're just looking at the clock and you're looking at, man, I can't wait till 5 o'clock till I can get off. And I hated Friday nights because I got to wake up early to go work on Saturday. And I just hated all that. And I was like 15 and I'm like, I got 50 more years of this. How in the world do people live like this? Like, I'm not going to settle. And I never got conditioned for that way of thinking. And I remember a year went by and then Pat Wharton was his name. That was my manager. I just turned 46 on Saturday. So that was a long time ago. That was what, 30 years ago, 31 years ago, if I do my math correctly. And I said, Pat, can I get my raise? And he said, why should I give you a raise? And I said, because I've been here a year. You told me you'd give me a raise to $7.50 an hour, $7.50 an hour minus California taxes. So pretty much nothing. Then you eat some lunch at the burrito truck and your whole check's gone, right? So he gives me a raise. And I just remember I checked out. I was like, I don't want it. I'm like, this is nasty. I got another dad and I got to call him boss. And I don't have a family. I don't have kids. I'm now probably all of 16 years old, maybe going on 17 for all I know. And that's when I realized this is how I got to live my life. And I just checked out and I quit. And then I went to become a self-employed mechanic. And I started doing all kind of things. And I went to college because I was told you're supposed to go to school, get good grades, get a good job. So I go to college because I figured that's how you're supposed to make money. That's the way you get out of this situation of working with your hands. And then I realized one of the things they're not teaching me, I don't feel like I'm learning anything I'm going to use in my life. I love learning. I love education. One of the things I realized, though, is you don't need college necessarily. I love education. So when I talk about school, I'm not talking about education and I'm not talking about teachers. I'm just talking about the indoctrination process that they put us through in school. They know exactly what they're doing. And as you guys start to recruit people, you're going to realize that's what you're up against. Because there was a day when that child was not institutionalized by the system. There was a day where that child was free. There was a day where that child fought for what they wanted. There was a day where everybody was a salesperson. And when you wanted that cookie, you asked your mom 25 times till you got what you wanted. You knew how to communicate before you even know the language, right? And all of a sudden, I believe as God, we're born thinking big. We're blessed being, thinking big. And then the world indoctrinates us and puts us inside this box that they want us to be in. And next thing you know, we're afraid to ask for anything. We're afraid to ask. I'm not good at sales. Well, you were a great salesperson before you got beaten over the head to not think that you're. And also sometimes we don't even realize it, but we get told no all the time, and our parents didn't know any better because they were byproducts of the same system, right? So they say, hey, don't say anything. Just sit there. Don't ask for anything. Don't talk. Just be quiet. Mind your business. When you're in the line and you're at that, they have all those toys at the grocery store right there at the line so that the kids can ask their mom to buy them something. And you're like, man, don't ask for nothing when we get to this line. Don't touch that. Then we start to deal with these human beings as adults now who are just big kids with an arrested development. And then we look at them and we wonder why they're afraid to go for it. Why are you afraid to ask for something when there was a time where you were asking for everything, guaranteed? How are you not motivated to wake up? Remember when you were a kid, you got to have that childlike enthusiasm when you didn't want to go to sleep and you can't wait to wake up in the morning, right? I look at my kids now, I can't even get them to go to sleep. Now, then all of a sudden you go through life and then you hate waking up in the morning and you can't wait to go to sleep, right? And you're tired and it just changes, right? And it's like, we got to bring back, we got to have an exorcist of everything that was put into us, right? And we got to bring back who we originally were. And before, if you really think about it, before the Industrial Revolution, everybody worked for themselves and owned what they did. They were all self-employed. The 8-hour day became a byproduct of the Industrial Revolution. And I hated history going through school. I actually enjoy history now, at least the stuff that's true, right? But other than that, like if you really dive in and you find out the story, you start to realize, oh, shoot. Because if you don't know history, to repeat it, right? So you start to realize what happened, what created like all these diseases. People didn't have all these diseases before, right? The divorce rate wasn't as high as it is before. We didn't have other people raising our kids before. We didn't survive off of fast food before. Like all this stuff is a byproduct of the Industrial Revolution. So I believe take the best, leave the rest, right? There was great things that came out of the Industrial Revolution, but as we look back, it was really just designed to turn people into modern day slaves to go work for corporations. And then at the end of the day, and then we're also what? Consumers. So basically we make money, we go to a place that pays us less than what we're worth, where we're overridden. We're taught how to negotiate for a salary. We're taught how to go work for somebody else for no ownership. We're taught to ask somebody else to give us more, you know, and then we get laid off multiple times, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We get told all the stuff that we do wrong. Nobody really builds up our self-esteem. They don't build up our confidence. We then make our money, which is less than what we're worth. Uncle Sam intercepts the money before we even get our check. So now we're left with whatever's left over. And then by the time we get home, it's already spent. Because then we got to put food on the table. We got to put clothes on our back, and we got to put a roof over our head. Right? So now it's funny, like before, back in the slave days, right? All we were provided was a roof over our head, food in our stomach, and clothes on our back, but we worked for free. Nowadays, we work for money, but the only thing we're able to afford is a roof over our head, food on our table, and clothes on our back. Because when you look at people's life savings, if us as financial professionals look at how much money, maybe your client's 55 or 60 years old or 47 or whatever, and you think about how much money have they made in their lifetime, to be over here asking, you're 47 years old and you're still scared to live on commission? Like, where did all your money go? Right? You're 65 years old, you've made all this money in your life and you only got that saved? You got to realize there's a conditioning going on, right? So now, and then we're taught to be consumers and buy stuff that we don't even have the money to afford. Then we get into debt. And then I look at when my dad passed away, because this is what pissed me off. The last thing that we consume, because we don't die of natural causes these days, we die of diseases, yeah, is what? Pharmaceuticals. That's the last thing. And then you got to flush it down the toilet when your mom dies. You got to flush them down the toilet when your dad dies. And I'm like, all the way to his death, they turn us into consumers. And I don't know about you, but maybe I think about stuff outside of the box. That pisses me off. I won't forget how they did my parents, and my mom died of ALS. And I won't forget how they did my dad, and my dad died of end-stage renal failure and colorectal cancer. I won't forget that. Why? Because that was part of it. That was part of it. And it made people a lot of money for my parents to go through those conditions, right? And then they got me to believe that I'm actually I'm a victim of my own genetics because it runs in the family. When I'm the healthiest person in my family right now, and I come from those genetics, right? So I just want you to know, I've thought about this stuff at a very early age. You don't got to compare yourself to me, but the stuff that I've delivered that made me a popular speaker, I didn't even know they would put me on stage to speak about this stuff at a financial company. And everybody gave me a standing ovation. I'm like, dang, maybe I'm speaking the truth that most people feel inside. They don't know how to articulate it. But I'm letting you know, we need leadership, man. We need leadership. I found that the people that are the wealthiest, not everybody, but a lot of the bad people got a lot of the money. And they have the power. And they have the control. All right? And I meet good people, somebody's mom, going to church, God-fearing people. And then you interview them, and they're like, well, I don't need that much. I'm like, man, somebody convinced us to stay poor so that they can control us. Like, what makes us think that having money is bad? Because the people that have all the money are the ones that make us think that it's bad, so that we subconsciously get rid of it. And it means if I have a lot of money, I'm bad. And if I don't have any money, I must be good, because that's the opposite. I don't need that much. I hear people in interviews say, I don't need to be wealthy or anything. Like, what do you say? It's like somebody saying, I don't really need to be that healthy. I just want a couple diseases. I don't need to have great teeth. I want a couple cavities. Like, come on. How mediocre have they gotten us to think, right? And that's what I'm up against, by the way. I realize that the reason somebody doesn't sign the ICA is not because of my presentation. It took me a long time to get that. The reason they're not joining, the reason they sign the ICA and then you can't even find them anymore and they're gone, has nothing to do with you. Although maybe some of us it does, I don't know. But for the most part, if you're a good person, it has nothing to do with you. The reason when somebody buys an IUL and then 10 years later, they're still saving $100 a month into it, is the same $100 you sold them 10 years before. It has nothing to do with you, right? The reason some people are like, man, I'm just going to stay on my 401k and stay. The reason somebody works 40 hours a week at their job where they have no ownership and they show up on time and they don't have a paper bag over their head, hence their cameras off, right? They show up and then they come to a meeting where you own your own company. This is your business, a legacy for your family. You show up late, leave early, and don't even have your camera on. And I'm not talking about you guys, because I think JR said he was going to kick you out of the meeting. But isn't it funny how people don't even have their camera on to their own company, to their own meeting? They show up late. They got excuses. The same excuses they use to not build the business, they would get fired if they used that excuse, even if they worked at 7-Eleven. But yet to come build a multi-million-dollar company, they use these excuses. I hear people say, like, I was like, what happened, man? You weren't at the meeting. They were like, oh, I had something come up. Try to tell your boss that's why you don't show up tomorrow. Oh, I had something come up. See, we've been taught how we're the ones helping dig the Underground Railroad, and they throw us under the rug, and then they just abide to the master, right? So you got to understand, history repeats itself, my friends. History repeats itself. And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate is because it's all a mental game now. It's all a mental game. All they got to do is get us some debt, and now we show up to the plantation on time. They don't even have to shackle us anymore. They don't even have to watch us anymore. They don't even have to chase us anymore. We show up with perfect attendance because we're in debt, and they control the way we think. And the secret to slavery, believe it or not, was to not let people realize they were slaves. Because if they actually realize they were slaves, they will fight back. But if they think that that's how it's supposed to be, they just put their head down and live their life. And how can you tell me that that's not exactly what's going on today? I look at my dad, and he used to smoke cigarettes. And back in the early 1900s, everybody smoked cigarettes. Even doctors smoke cigarettes. Movie stars smoke cigarettes. And now that we look in hindsight at the ramifications of smoking cigarettes, what do we find out? Now nobody wants to smoke. It's like, tell your kids don't smoke, blah, 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 right? Well, we got to look at hindsight of what this industrial revolution, the 8-hour day, has done to families, have done to kids. Sometimes I look at it and I look at, what if an alien was watching our planet and they're like, man, so people just leave and drop their kids off with somebody else, let somebody else do whatever, and then they go, and then the wife goes this way, the husband goes that way, they grow apart, they have no idea what's happening to their kids, and then we wonder why the world is the way it is. It's never been like that. Make sense? And this is the stuff I be thinking about. I don't know what I got some ideas. By the way, this is the stuff that they didn't even give me a topic to talk about. This is just what I'm sharing with you, right? I always tell people, like, I cook 7 days a week. I got some homemade tomato sauce going on right now. We put love. Remember the old days where you got love put in your food? What does that mean? Your mom, every little thing, she chopped the garlic, you don't think that means something on a spiritual level? Because what you eat becomes you. And when your mom is putting that love into her food because she's cooking for the family, and then you come home to a nice home cooked meal with love in it, you don't think spiritually on a level that you can't see that does something to the kids and does something to you? Well, what about the food they're eating now? Satan's putting something into that, right? That's a laboratory. But you got to go to work. You don't have time to cook. You got to go over here. That's why, see, it's all by control. And then why do you got to go to work? Because you're in debt. But then have you noticed that in the 80s, $50,000 a year was a good job? In the 90s, $50,000 a year was a good job. In the 2000s, $50,000 a year was a good job. And I got people literally that don't join GFI. They don't go all in because they say they got a good job in $50,000 a year in 2026. Or I'm 36. No, 46. What year is it? 2025. Isn't that crazy? Well, that's what I found out, guys. I found out that this is a business that's not financial services. This is the business of building people. This is a business of setting the captives free, taking back America. This is a business of, bringing parents back into their life. I love it. Like, my wife's there watching the Dodgers. I'm going for Toronto. She's going for the Dodgers, right? And we're here. We got a chance now to be with our family, be with our kids, control our time, control our destiny. If you don't control your time, you're going to work for somebody who does. And if your time equals your life and somebody else controls your time, then they also control your life. And my daughter's about to be a teenager next year, February to be exact. She's going to be a teenager. I remember my baby girl when she was in my hands. I'm 46. I signed my ICA, it wasn't an ICA, but same thing. I signed my paperwork when I was 24. Holy cow. What a great place to have spent my life. I'm at the stage now where I could be suffering through a midlife crisis, I guess, right? And I get it. I get it now. Imagine I'm 46, because remember when you were 18, 19, you were like, man, it's going to be amazing. I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. And then all of a sudden I wake up, I'm 46, my pockets are inside out, and I'm in debt. I could see why people would suffer through that. I could see why people would go through things mentally. Thank God this company came into my life. And by the way, if you're not where you want to be, every day is another chance for you to turn it on, change your stars. All you got to do is change you. We found out that we can beat a pandemic. The pandemic served us. You know, God bless everybody else that it hurt. It made our company amazing. Guys, you know how efficient we are now? I can go to the gym. I could do this. I don't even got to go eat lunch out. I could eat home cooked meals all the time. I could stay healthy. Like sometimes when an appointment doesn't go, I go out there and work on my cars. I'm like, man, I'm like happy. Like I wake up every day happy. I'm that kid nowadays that sometimes my wife finds me right here. I'm asleep. I don't even want to go to bed yet. I don't want to go to bed. I'm fired up, man. I'm learning. I'm growing. I already know what I want to achieve in the morning. And you know, when you have something to achieve in the morning and you're thinking about it all the time, you don't even need an alarm clock. You ever have to catch a flight early in the morning and you're in a different time zone and you're like scared and you set all the alarm clocks, and then don't you like wake up right before the alarm clock? Because your mind already has a darn goal. That's how powerful the mind is. That snooze button is for people that have jobs where they don't want to go to work, but that's your life's work. You wake up at, I don't know, 5, 6 a.m. You get home at 5, 6 p.m. considering traffic. That's 11 or 12 hours out of the day doing something you don't like. And now we see an epidemic of what? Mental illness. That's not normal. Don't let anybody ever tell you that's normal. By the way, you can get yourself out of that too, because God's given us free will and choice. You can change your situation regardless of what everybody thinks. I came to this company. Look, I was the complete opposite of anybody who was supposed to win here. I didn't like making friends. I didn't trust anybody. I came up rough around the edges. Surely you probably didn't trust me or the people I hung around with, right? I didn't take disrespect lightly. To this day, I still got to, somebody calls it a pyramid, I still ball up my fist, take a couple deep breaths, and I'm like, let me mind my business. I'm a professional now, right? But I'd come up with, I remember I would fight some of the competitive companies, the competitor companies, and they would talk a little trash. Man, I was like, man, I got to be professional here. I've never worn a suit. I've never worn a tie. I've never spoke English. If you understood who I was before GFI, I was a thinker, and I always knew I had a purpose on this planet. Never knew it was going to be this, and this was going to be my platform. And I say all this to say, guys, I'm speaking to somebody here. You know, financial services is just the vehicle that connects everybody, because money is people say, Paul, how do you find your clients? What kind of question is that? Who do you know that uses money? Yeah, there they are. There they are. Even the Canadian dollar. We can even convert pesos to US dollars now. I mean, any currency. We're in 50 countries. You find a group of people congregating, you throw a rock near them. I bet you they need what we got. I bet you I know what they got. They got their group term at their job. They got a 401k. They have no idea how it works. And they don't have living benefits. By the way, my dad died of end-stage renal failure, colorectal cancer. My mom died of ALS. You look at that list on the critical illness and you'll see exactly what my parents died from. And my mom had no life insurance, and my dad had $7,500. Bought it in 1979, the year I was invented and the invention of the 401k. I guess both. $7,500. I can't forget what they did. I can't forget that they paid my dad at his highest income $60,000 a year. $60,000 a year for being at Stanford. I live in the Bay Area, one of the wealthiest places on planet Earth, and most prestigious colleges is Stanford and Palo Alto. West Palo Alto, not on the other side of the bridge. But My dad went there, made 60 grand a year. My dad used to babysit Eric Olson. My mom did. She ran a little daycare at the house. And I look now, shoot, I look at like what I make. If I make 60,000 in a month off pure overrides, that's a bad month. Eric probably makes 60,000 in a day. Think about this. Remember, I be thinking about stuff. Eric made 13 million I don't even know what he makes now, but I know he probably makes more, right? He made 13 million the year that he left to start GFI. If my dad, and by the way, over a 30-year career at Stanford, he did not make 60,000 from the 80s up until 2015, from 85 to 2015, all right? But let's just say he did. Let's say he made 60,000 since he started. How much do you make in 30 years? 1.8 million on a W-2 in California? And then Eric made 13 million and and my dad used to babysit him. How many lifetimes would my dad have to live his whole life, die, get reincarnated, live his whole life, die, get reincarnated, live his whole life, die, get reincarnated, just to make what Eric would make in 1 year? And then, and I could show you it because I talk about this, my dad had a pension. My mom already predeceased him. They tried to convince my dad to start his pension. He had about 400,000 accumulated in his pension. He was going to get about 3,000 a month, 36,000 a year in income from his pension. Guess what happens when you turn on the income of a pension? You annuitize it, not an income rider, an annuitization, which is the whole bad rap that annuities caught, by the way, has to do with annuitization, because when you annuitize something, you give up your ownership. You're basically saying, look, I have no idea how to manage my own money. I'm going to take my pension, give it to you, turn it on as a stream of income. I have no idea how to manage my money. Just give me a monthly income for life. Guess what happens when you don't have a surviving spouse? They keep the remaining balance when you die, because you've given up ownership to them in exchange for a lifelong income. And if you only live, guess how long my dad lived? 1.5 years. So after he retired, so they only paid him 60,000 a year, which he would have to live like 10 lifetimes or whatever that, or 7, 8 lifetimes to make what Eric makes in 1 year passively. And even me now, right? In about 1.5 years in overrides, I make what my dad made at a good job. That's a good job. That's a good job. Stanford, good school. Good job though. I don't know. What are we saying here, right? You're telling me you paid him sick. By the way, my dad's a better man than I've ever been. I never made it out of abject poverty. I had a couple yes boxes on my application when I signed up for the company. That's why it took me 6 months to get licensed. Right? My dad, I've never heard him say a curse word. I never heard my dad argue with my mom. My dad never complained about nothing. My dad had friends from all different. He would walk into a room. He would light up the room. He had great people skills. He was a better man than me in a inferior opportunity. Right? And I look at it and I'm like, dang, they robbed him of his income. They took him away from his family, which that's what a man had to do to go provide for his family. I learned all the great stuff from that. And then they were going to rob him of his retirement over 40 years on top of that. If he didn't have a son that figured out how to read the paperwork and had enough common sense to say, I'm going to learn this. But common sense isn't very common. And one thing I want to let you guys know, because I know you guys are recruiting and you guys are the #1 recruiting base shop. I relate to you guys. We're the ones that walk into a room, come the end of the year, come midterm next year. Some of the biggest recruiters, you're going to have like holes in your shirt. Your tie's going to be tied off to the side. Your shoes are all ripped up. You're beat up. But I know what you're going through. And what you're doing is you're changing lives. You only need one person to get it, and then all of a sudden it reinvents your whole business. Keep on going until you find that one person. I don't understand it, but I always thought that this was a win-win situation. I thought best case scenario, I make a ton of money. Worst case scenario, I get a great financial education. And how long can I use the financial education for the rest, in life? Every step of the way. That's the reason people get up and work, because of finances, because of debt. First of the month's coming up. So I was like, man, this is a win-win situation. And then I have people say, well, I want to think about it. Some of the dumbest things I've heard people say are the exact reasons why they should do that, because employees operate through excuses or entrepreneurs operate through reasons. So, and if we start to relate to them, by the way, I understand their perspective, where they're coming from, because I have to go to their level to bring them up to where they need to be. But I don't sympathize with it. I can empathize, but I don't sympathize. Empathize means I understand where you're coming from. Sympathize means I'm in that pain with you. I'm not in that pain with you because I can't save you if I'm in the same quicksand that you're in. But I realize what people go through, right? People say, and the excuses, people say, well, I don't know anything about money. Isn't that the reason why you should do this, not the excuse of why you shouldn't? I don't know. That's how I look at it. I'm like, well, that's why you should do. See, great recruiters look for reasons why people should do it. Paul, I'm too busy. You definitely need our business. Paul, I don't understand anything about business. You need our business. Paul, I don't understand anything about finance. You need our business. Paul, I don't have enough time. You need our business. Paul, I don't like talking to people. You definitely need our business. I'm a byproduct of all of that stuff. Guess what I found out? I became a good talker. I hate speaking in public. Guess what I became known as? Somebody who speaks in public. It's pretty crazy how confident you become and how awesome and how few excuses you start to take when you realize you reinvented yourself and you're actually good at it. I believe God works in mysterious ways. He said, Paul, the thing that you're afraid of, because fear is false expectations, false evidence appearing real. I had a phobia. It wasn't a fear. It was a phobia of speaking. Right? I didn't like talking to people. I was shy. I just, my heart would pound, doom, doom, doom. Speaking in public, heck no. Right? And all of a sudden, that's what I do for a living. You know how confident you become when you transmute your fear? You look it right in the face and realize, man, God was putting that right in front of me because my biggest dreams, my biggest confidence levels, the higher self-esteem of me was right on the other side of my fears. Do you ever get more confident succumbing to your fears? No. You got to attack it. Look it right in the face, right? If you're like, I don't want to call that number, and you're like, man, I don't want to call that person. Well, it's already a no then. You already got to know. You might as well and check it off the list. She just like, he told me no. At least I get to check his name off the darn list. I hate looking at that thing and being afraid to call him. Paul, call that guy and make him tell you no. If it's already a no, if you don't call him, uncover the no and cross his name off the darn list. You're going to feel better about yourself. You know, when you walk and you're like, I should have prospected that person, and you don't. Does that make you feel amazing? Probably not, right? If you just go prospect them, even if they tell you no, you're like, dang it, at least I did it. I'm proud of myself. You got to develop little wins where you're proud of yourself. I didn't make any money for 6 months. I signed up. I went in all in, guys. I know how to be an entrepreneur. It was pre-COVID, BC. You know, before COVID, I got boogers coming out of my nose. I'm doing live presentations with tissue, doing presentations on a napkin, shaking people's hands, going into their house. I don't got time to be sick. I'm an entrepreneur. Isn't it ironic when you got a job, you're like, oh man, I'm sick. You call in sick when you're not sick. If you get 2 sick, I don't even know how many sick days people get, but that's exactly how many times I'm sick during the year. Like legitimately. It's almost like it's psychosomatic or something, right? I remember my first couple of months, they took me to a timeshare presentation. And I went in because it was free, right? And if you go to the timeshare presentation and you sit through it, you get a free little getaway to Lake Tahoe. I was like, okay, cool. I'm getting something for free. I'm broke. Right? I'm going in. I'm already in the company, right? And I went into the timeshare presentation and I seen all these people like they were doing a BPM, and I was like, I see what they're doing. I see what they're doing. This was awesome. I was learning and taking notes. Not 1 second did I think about taking a vacation. How in the world am I going to take a vacation and I'm building a business right now and I got momentum? What am I going to do? Go golfing? Go to Hawaii and go golfing? Heck no. I'm going to look, if everything works out the way they say it's going to work out, my whole darn life is going to be a vacation. And they seen the look on my eyes. They were like, would you like to go here? No, I'm building a business right now. You got the wrong person. I'm here for free stuff. Right? They couldn't convince me at all to take a vacation. Because I just want to work. When you see your goals in front of you and you're like, I'm going to attack this, you're just fired up, right? And by the way, you lose that a little while. I respect Eric and I respect Marty Schaefer and I respect Matt, all the leaders that are making big money that keep on working their butt off, because you know what? You know what I found out, guys? Happiness is in the journey. It's not in the destination. It's actually the person you become. It's the pursuit of something. And when you keep your mind engaged, won't this business keep your mind engaged like for life? Yeah. If you don't use it, you lose it. What happens when people retire? They stop critically thinking. They stop being involved. That's one of the good things maybe that gives them, right? A sense of purpose. All of a sudden they retire, and then they stop using their mind. They stop thinking. They stop pursuing things, and all of a sudden it's a downhill slope from there. Why do you think Gray Cat guys 70 or 75 years old? Because he's pursuing stuff. He's always in front of people. He's changing lives. Why would we're in the retirement business, and I don't even like the word retire because it sounds like I'm tired and I don't like what I'm doing. I want to be financially independent. I want to work because I want to. I hate working because I have to work. I love working it's because I choose to. So I want to challenge everybody. What's your ideal life? Have you touched your dreams? How could you crave something you've never tasted? I never knew what 600 horsepower felt like because I started this business in a 1990 Ford Escort. You know, the most luxury that had was an automatic seatbelt. And the seatbelt just comes and straps you in. That's about all it had. And I was like, it didn't have air conditioning. That was luxury to me. I never had a car with air conditioning. I was like AC. And then Eric took us on this ride, and he was like, man, we had a Bentley, we had a Jag, we had an Aston Martin, and we had a Mercedes SLS with the little butterfly doors that come up. It was a beautiful car. Those cars still retain their value too. And I jumped in that car, and I hit the gas with 600 horsepower. Where it's like, oh shoot, I've never felt that before. Guess what? Darn near all my cars got 600 horsepower now. I can't go back. Can't go back. How could you crave something you've never tasted? I never knew what I was missing. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because my mom kept me away from sweets as long as she possibly could, because I got a sweet tooth, right? And I know why she did, because I love sweets, right? And I've stayed away from all drugs for the most part, because I don't even want to touch those, because I already know myself, right? What about a house? Do you know what it's like to swim? I like my pool at 86 degrees. I'm skinny. I need some warmth in my pool. You know what it's like when you're in a pool with 86 degrees, because you got the temperature gauge on your phone. I could be warming up my pool while I'm driving from the house. Man, you know what it's like to have a saltwater pool with the waterfalls, 86 degrees with the lights coming on, hanging out with your family. You don't ever want to go in those hotel pools anymore. Like, ooh, this is cold. You get a little bougie, I guess. I need 86 degrees. It's got to be 86. 85, I don't know. I get a couple goosebumps at 85. See, what kind of kitchen would you like? You got to go taste your dreams. So when you're dealing with the recruiting over and over and over again, and all the stuff you got to go through, and all the follow-up, and all the people that you're trying to meet with, you know what you got to do? You got to remind yourself, like you push refresh on a computer, why am I doing this? Why do I have $100,000 saved and I'm driving an $11,000 car? Because I'm not here to drive a $100,000 car and have no money saved. I'd rather drive an $11,000 car, a 2001 Monte Carlo, which was my upgrade, and then have $100,000 in the bank. Why? When everybody's telling me, Paul, why do you rent an apartment when you got all this money and you're making $250,000 plus? Because I'm smart. Because I already know one day I'm going to have all that stuff. Because I'm putting in the work that I know that nobody else is willing to do. You win in your quiet moments. I was always telling myself, I know I deserve a team. Because if there's a gatekeeper, if there's a scorekeeper watching me right now, they know I'm putting in the work to eventually have somebody finally stay and follow me. I'm getting my licenses. I'm coachable. I'm showing up. I'm early. I leave late. I'm positive. I'm a good person. I'm going to pour into my people. Why is everybody quitting? But I wouldn't let me stop, because I'm like, darn it, my subconscious told me you deserve to have a team. You've mastered the products. You know the illustration. I was the one that brought the whole presentation to Eric's whole hierarchy, because I was the first licensed person in the hierarchy. I was like, man, and I was training everybody's team, and I'm pouring into them. And I'm like, I deserve to get clients, and I deserve to one day have my own team. but it's what you do in your quiet moments. See, if I already know that putting in 40 hours a week at a job got me broke, what in the world does my subconscious think putting 20 hours a week into this business is going to get me? A 6-figure income? No, 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 my friend. Your subconscious mind connects 40 hours a week, waking up early, going to sleep at that time, 75,000 a year, paycheck to paycheck. That's what your subconscious mind is programmed at. So if you come here and you do anything less than the effort you put at your job, your subconscious will never expect to make more. You have to do more to get your mind to shift to the next level so that you now expect more. Because you'll never make a penny more than your self-esteem, and you'll never outgrow your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind controls everything. It controls your unconscious beliefs. It's like the elephant. It's like that rope where you hang the elephant. You put the elephant on a post, and then all of a sudden, when he's a baby, and then as it grows up, all you got to do is keep that same little rope on the elephant, and he thinks he's trapped. Because subconsciously, that's what was programmed to him when he was a baby. That's what all of us are at. And I hope you guys keep a sense of humor. As my final comments, what am I saying here? Guys, keep doing what you're doing. I love to see your growth. I love to see your explosion. I know we had a Tiffany came in, and I seen the numbers light up. What do I tell you? You're one person away from an explosion. I heard Lacey's going to be one of the next EMDs here. What's up, Lacey? Good to see you again. Tiana, I always see Tiana everywhere we go. She's faithful. She's loyal. She's going to be one of the next EMDs. You guys got to go get that EMD. I don't want to miss anybody's name. I told them to text me a few names. And I think I got Ben and Natasha. Where's Ben and Natasha? We got Ben and Natasha on here. There you go, Ben. I heard you guys. I'm going to be looking for you guys, right? You guys are the next EMDs. Now that I got the names, I can actually look at the numbers. And can I tell you a little secret? This is Paul, 21 years in, $1 million earner, hierarchy, international business. I actually got a better than a 2001 Ford Escort car now. I actually don't live in a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment. I don't rent a house anymore. I don't live in a house with a bunch of roaches. It was $1 million house with a bunch of darn cockroaches. I don't live with cockroaches anymore. And guess what happened? I was doing an interview. This is how crazy it is. This is why you got to keep a sense of humor. This is why some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? This is why you got to realize what you're up against, and you got to realize it's not you, and you got to stop. Don't blame yourself. You just got to keep on going to go find the right people. I did an interview with the guy. He was an ex-Vikings quarterback. He was actually an ESPN analyzer, sports analyzer, and he was also on iHeartRadio and all this stuff. And I meet with the guy, and he's selling me. I'm like, man, he's talking about leadership. He's talking about he's a worker. Talk about performance-based income. You're an athlete. You should understand performance-based income. Everything went right. I ran out of time. I had to go take my son to basketball, and then we set up a follow-up appointment, and he appreciated it. He was like, you're going to always appreciate those, and your son's going to always remember those times in sports. And we connected so much. I went over the whole 5 F's, the faith, family, fitness, finance, fun. I talked about leadership at the top that's willing to work at 74 years old. We're all in this. I talked about the POP program. And then we do the follow-up. We get to the 199. He gets a little squirmy. I'm like, what in the world? You're an ex-NFL athlete. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, no, I'm gonna sign this up. He's like, I'll text you when I'm done. I just got a lot of stuff right now. I'll finish this when I'm done. I'm like, all right. Then we get a text back. I didn't know this was commission. I didn't know blah, 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 blah. I'm like, everything's commission, by the way. Try not to go to work. Commission is you work, you get paid. Try not to go to work this week and see if you got a job. Everything's commission. It's all an illusion. Matter of fact, when you were in the NFL, it was commission as well. Because if you get injured, you're not going to get that salary. If you don't keep playing, you're not going to get that salary, whatever you signed up for 5 years. And the guy gets scared. And this was like a stud dude, by the way. You know what I realized? He doesn't believe in himself. You know what I realized? Everything that he told me on the outside was just a mask, because he's supposed to be a tough guy. He's supposed to be this. He thought he was actually at an interviewing with me, and I was going to give him a salary. Yeah, right. I ain't going to pay you a salary. You know how many people I would, now that I've seen people, I would never pay people a salary with their performance, right? And their effort. Then right after that, I hop on another interview. The guy's like, man, I'm struggling. My dad died. I'm running out of money right now. I need a W-2. I need to start paying into Social Security because I need a retirement. I'm 40 something years old now. I've never really had a job. I've always had little stuff on the side. I need a W-2. I'm like, all right, this ain't going well. That's the opening comments in the interview. All right, this ain't going well. And he's like, yeah. And he was like, man, I was like, so what kind of interviews have you had? And he was like, well, I had an interview with Cutco Knives, but it was like a pyramid. I'm like, oh, shoot, this really ain't going well. Cutco Knives. I was like, man, that was pretty darn good knives. So I remember having a knife like that when I was growing up. That sucker was cutting my whole childhood. We never had to sharpen that thing. I was like, can you elaborate on a pyramid? He was like, man, when you got to sell all this stuff and you got to sell it to your friends and family. I was like, is that what makes it a pyramid? I was like, because I go to Costco sometimes. I see Cutco knives set up in Costco. I was like, so is that Cutco not a pyramid because they're in Costco and the ones that sell them to their friends, that's the pyramid version of Cutco? I was like, elaborate a little bit. I'm just curious what's on the thought process of human beings because it ain't making no sense to me. I'm just going to have fun with this interview because I already know it's going nowhere, right? So why not have fun, right? And I'm sitting here slicing them up a little bit. And I'm like, well, I got to be honest, man. I'm glad that somebody sold me a Cutco knife. It could be a pyramid schmyramid. That sucker was cutting. And he was like, yeah, they are good knives. And at the very end, the guy signs up. He's already got his test scheduled. He's got all, I'm like, what is this, the Twilight Zone? So what I'm saying is I've been doing this for so long, I still have no idea what's on the thought mind because people be lying. They just be lying. They just be saying stuff. They try to say what's right on an interview. They try to give you their resume. I act like I respect their resume, and I don't even look at it because those are the biggest lies I've ever seen. And they write it on this nice piece of paper, and it's all thick and like embroidered. And I'm like, man, what'd you do that for? You already know you're lying. We're about to find out if that resume is right. Here's the 199. Here's the list. Let's go to see what you're made of. And so GFI is a self-development program with a massive compensation package attached. We all come to this company a little bit like a Rubik's Cube out of order. And if somebody, you got to do a couple of years worth of turning. Maybe you're like me. I needed a lot of twisting and turning and meditating and dream boards. And I had to go to more seminars. I poured self-development into my ears all day, every day. I was at the dinner table with the headset in. You shouldn't be doing this. But I had to get better so I can win for my family. There was no such thing as music in my car. There was no such thing as TV on the TV. Everything was growing and growing and growing. Paul, how do you learn how to speak like that? Because I've made so many deposits that the withdrawals just fly out now. Don't compare yourself, but I was a product of self-development. And I didn't expect the cash flow to come until the self-development came. And it started to come. And I feel like I'm underpaid right now. I feel like I'm worth so much more than I'm worth. And I'll tell you this, when I came to that BPM, here's what I thought. If I could make $1,000 a week, have my own apartment, $50,000 a year, man, that would be everything. I could have a girl in my house and close the door because my dad ain't having it. I got to have the door open when a girl's in my house. My dad said there's only going to be one man in this house. And the day that you feel you're a man, there's the door. I was like, dang it. So I'd be a man on the weekends. I'm coming back on Monday, right? I'm coming back. I'm going to be a man on the weekends. But I thought small. I was like 50,000 a year, guys. That's how small I thought. English was my second language. Everybody I invited to the BPM came with jerseys and hats on, tattoos, sagging their pants. It was horrible. We didn't even have a dress code. And I'm like, man, and by the way, almost none of my friends are clients. A couple of them are dead now. A couple of them left kids. One of them got AIDS. One of them's on dialysis, you name it. And all of them nobody became a client. Everyone that joined, they quit before the inks dried on the paperwork. But guess what? I didn't. Guess who's been putting into their policy since I signed up? Me. Guess who's been coachable since I signed up? Me. And all the excuses that they used to say why they couldn't do it, I took those excuses away. And they all went to the same school as me and Eric because we tried to recruit everybody from the neighborhood. And only me, Eric, and Anthony were the only ones maybe stupid enough to try it. Ain't that something? Because they were all smarter than me. Oh, I got a degree, man. I'm not going to live on commission. I need benefits. Well, look at us now. You get what I'm saying? Everything they told me was true. It was just a matter of time. And they told me it was a scam, and they told me it's not legitimate. And I was like, man, I don't know. I'm getting away from you guys. You guys are contagious. I don't want what you guys got. By the way, that's kind of how you got to be. Isn't it? Sometimes when we're with our friends, we want to know who our friends are hanging around with, because you're known by the company you keep, and you become a byproduct of your environment. And if you're hanging around with the gang members, or you're hanging around with these people, or you're hanging around with those people, it's just a matter of time. Well, sometimes we got to look at who we're hanging around with. Are we hanging around with the employees? Are we hanging around with the people that miserable Monday, hump day, Wednesday? Tomorrow's hump day all across America. Thank God it's Friday. They live for the weekends. They spend all their money on the weekends. They watch college football, went for the NFL on Sunday and Monday, and then they start all over again, just consuming content and making nothing, and don't even understand anything about what's going on in the real world. And that's who we hang around with, right? Sometimes you got to say, you ever see somebody, you ever have a newborn baby, and one of your friends is sick, your mom's sick, your sister's sick, your cousin's sick, your closest friend's sick, and what do you tell them? Stay away from me, man. You're contagious. I got a little baby at home. I love you and all. You're my mom. Of course I love you, mom. You can't come over, right? You're sick, right? There's nothing against you. Well, I got to tell you, that employee mind is contagious. And sometimes I had to tell my friends, they told me, Paul, you got to change your friends, or you got to change your friends. And if you can't change them, then you got to change them. And I still love them. I spoke to one of my friends the other day. He's like, when's your son having football practice? I said, we practice on Wednesdays. He's like, I'll show up. I'm like, no, you ain't. Guarantee you ain't going to show up, because you ain't showed up in 21 years. What makes me think you're going to show up now? And ask me how much sleep I lose over it. 0. Ask me if I can borrow money, how much money I'm going to give them. 0. I don't give them nothing. I'm going to give them an ICA and say, pay $190. You're going to pay me $199. Now I'll do the appointments for you, and I'll recruit the people for you, and I'll get the clients for you. I'll make the money for you. I got a licensing department that will help you get licensed. I'll do it all, but I ain't giving you nothing. I love it. I love it. Even my own sister barely became a client a couple years ago, but she still ain't signed up yet. So I think you're all on pace to be $1 million earner. Based on my testimony, I think you're all on track. Just so you know, the only thing that might have separated me, my friends, is I got after this thing. You know why? I had an aggressive. I put my heart on. I put my heart on my sleeve, and I said, man, I put a chip on the other shoulder and my heart on my sleeve, and I said, man, I'm gonna play aggressive. My friend said no. I'm gonna go find more friends. I'm about to make them rich and say that could have been you. You don't want to become a client? I hope you stay. I hope you're healthy. I hope all that. I'm gonna go find a bunch of other clients. And guess what? I did. Sometimes you got to get pissed off. Don't be weak, man. Entrepreneurs aren't weak. We don't get down. We're either up or we're getting up. We don't feel sorry for ourselves, and we surely don't show it. All right. When we come home, everything's great. Even if it's not great, you tell your spouse everything's amazing. I'm going to take our family to the promised land. You better believe it. Your kids, how's business going, Dad? How's business going, Mom? Man, we're about to go. We're changing lives. And I'm here to let you know you are. Because even when you plant a seed, even though that seed hasn't bear fruit yet, even though the cucumbers haven't come yet, even though the tomatoes haven't come yet, there's something going on inside of that soil. And that's what I've heard when people have heard my messages over the years. They're like, Paul, in 2017, man, you changed my life. Dewan, and one of the reasons why we have this hierarchy in our amazing family of Dewan and Caitlin. Dewan was like, Paul, you spoke at one time and you made me go full time. I was like, for real? You have no idea whose lives you're changing, and you are changing lives. And the only time you'll stop changing lives is when we're selfish, we get in our feelings, and then we quit. People out there need us, man. They need the entrepreneurial spirit. They need somebody to breathe belief in them. They just need to know that there's a legitimate opportunity where people actually care and are willing to help you. They need to realize that rich people could be good people. And if anything, rich people need, the good people are the ones that need to be rich, because money is nothing more than a magnifying glass. It's going to magnify who you are. And if we have all the good people saying, I don't need to be rich, and all the bad people scooping up all the money, well, then what kind of world are we going to leave our kids and our grandkids in? We were here for a reason, guys. We got to go fight to make them. I never had kids before when I started, but now I realize, holy cow, I could probably see why Oprah never had kids. I ain't leaving here. You understand what this world, as she sees life, kids. We got to stick together, guys. We got to unify. We got to take back our country. We got to take back entrepreneurialism. We got to take back capitalism. We got to show people that it doesn't matter about the color of your skin. It's the content of your character. We live in a country where the only person that determines where you want to be is you. You're the one that's going to determine it, nothing else. And I'm a living byproduct of it. As I said this morning, I'm mixed. I'm black and white, right? So I'm a minority of a minority. They speak Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. They speak Punjabi to me. I got a Persian team now. They speak Farsi to me. I don't speak Farsi. I'm the darkest white guy and the lightest black person everywhere I go. Yet I figured out a way to fit in with everybody. Ain't that something? There ain't no neighborhoods of people that are all like me. Make sense? I found a way to fit in. I get in where I fit in. I'll figure out a way to make a community. And if I can win, because I have a desire to serve and I think it comes off authentic, and I know all of you are too. So JR, I just wanted to say that was on my heart. I gave a whole training this morning about recruiting. I had no idea what else I was supposed to talk about, but they said, Paul, give him a little bit of a, give him a little dose of what Paul normally thinks about. This is the stuff I think about. There's a bigger calling than points and commissions. There's a bigger calling even than the POP program. Did you realize that? Sometimes I think thinking about points, commissions, $1 million ring, and the POP program is thinking small. Because when it's all said and done, and the time capsule gets dug up and we look at our life experience and what we contributed, the question is, did it even matter if Paul was born or not? Did he do anything for planet Earth to make it a better place? And that's why I'm here. And so we're going to spread the wealth around. So JR, appreciate you, man, inviting me, man. Keep on winning, man. We're inspired by your guys' numbers, and we appreciate all the examples you guys set. So I'll hand it back to you, my friend.
So good, Paul. So good. I appreciate you. Obviously, for all over the years, and again, to be on your team, it's very proud to be part of Alpha. Remember, you guys had a chant like in the convention, tens of thousands of people, and you had this whole section just screaming Alpha, Alpha. I'm like, man, they're cool. I wish I was part of that team, but here we are. So that's awesome. Do you have like 10 minutes to you gave us a lot of time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I got about 10.
A couple of questions from our leaders.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go with Tiana, you got your hand up?
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much, Paul. This was fantastic, phenomenal. Always fired up to hear you speak. And my question really is, you talked a lot about growing and development. So what are 3 things that you would recommend doing or studying to improve our identity and our building?
Yeah, good question. Probably the biggest 3 are the books you read, the audios you listen to, and the people you associate with. Those are the big 3. Because essentially, when you're reading a book, you're associating with the author. And as they say, if you want to hide something, put it in a book, right? Some of the greatest minds, the greatest thinkers, the greatest value is put on pages of a book. And you get a chance to associate with those people when you're reading their book. All right. Audios are the same way. When you go to like a tour stop and you get all fired up, or you go to a convention, or you go to the Impact Awards, imagine you got audios like that for days, because you just constantly record stuff and put that inspirational stuff inside of you turn your car into a classroom. You turn your your desktop into a classroom, or your computer. So now you're associating with the Marty Schaefers, you're associating with Mario Bayona, right? So at first, before you have close proximity to be able to hang around with them, you hang around with them through the meetings, through the books, the audios. And then here's what I would do. I would actually do what the books say to do. I would read a book and I would do a book report on the book. So I knew, because I'm not very good at, well, I am good. It's a bad affirmation, but I was never very good at retaining information. I would read a book and be like, what the heck did I just read? I didn't even know, right? I think I was just trying to get rid of the book. I was just trying to be done with it, right? So I had to go back and do a book report, and I was really trying to dive into that book. When I would listen to an audio, it could have been a seminar from like 15 years ago, and they give a book recommendation. I actually went to go get the book that the audio said to get at the seminar from 15 years prior. And then I would read that book and I would implement it. And after I started doing that stuff, the actual physical associations of the people, you know what I did? I separated myself. They started realizing this guy is doing all the stuff we did. Who is this guy? And then they accept you into their association because they know you're one of them. I remember there was a guy we looked up to, still do. His name was Ed Milet, right? And I looked at him like he was young, he was buff, he had a beautiful wife, he had the MTV Cribs life, he had all that, and he had a great way of delivering a message. I would listen to his audios on repeat over and over and over again. And then when he got a chance to hear like me and Eric speak, we were like little Eds. And that's when we built a relationship, and Ed took us under his wing and said, I'm going to coach you guys. So you earn the right to get into those associations, books, audios, and the people you hang around with. The biggest one, though, is that one. The people you hang around with. Hang around with people that are at a higher level than you, and they'll pull you to that level. You hang around with people that are at a lower level than you. If you're not strong enough, they're going to pull you down to their level. So I try to associate with people that iron sharpens iron.
That's so good.
Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Can
That
you?
is so good. And to just, you know, piggyback on that, if you guys don't know, like what he said, hanging out with people doesn't mean physically hanging out. That means you could pop on their YouTube, you can pop on their recordings,
Yeah.
their books, and all that. Like, so you are associating with them, you're absorbing their knowledge. So
I think if I went to somebody's YouTube and I clicked history, I could already tell your mindset. If I could see all the history of what you watch, I already know how you think. I already know who you are. By the way, you better believe we're being studied right now. There's so much intel on the behavior patterns of humans in different cultures. You better believe we're being studied. But I can study somebody and just see by their history what you're looking at, because that creates what you think about, and then that projects your worldview, the lens you see the world through.
all right, couple more questions.
Very true.
I see Kenya, you had your hand up next.
Yes, Paul, it's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for all of the nuggets you have given this evening. I just want you to know I was listening to you. I paid my 199. You could go get clients for me. You could make the money for me. I'm right here in Hayward,
Oh,
California,
you're close.
somewhere near you, so I'm available just in case
All
you
right.
want to do that. But my question is, how when some you said someone asked you where do you find clients, and your response was, are you kidding? Who do you know who spend money? So what how do you actually approach like a cold market person, someone you don't know?
Good question. So, by the way, that's what we were all known for back when we built that big old thing that JR was talking about, that team at the convention and all that. Um, so you just go make friends. Remember, I was not something I'm used to. You make friends. So I think separate yourself from outcome. Sometimes when you have this pressure to like, I got to recruit this person, I got to get this person's number, you put too much pressure on yourself. Just go around. You get to recruit whoever you want to recruit. You can bring onto your team whoever you want to bring onto your team. Just because you met them doesn't mean they even need to be on your team. Just because you're interviewing them doesn't even mean you need to offer them a chance for you to train them. Just realize you're in the power position. We don't need them. They need us. We're here to help them, but we're not here to beg them, and we're not here to bug them. Right? So as I go around, you just say hi to people, right? We say form, family, occupation, recreation, and then the message. What's the message? Look, the reason I'm asking is because we're building a financial services company in the Hayward area, in the East Bay area, and I'm looking for some people that we can train and develop to run some of our locations. And since you keep your options open, I figure it's worth a conversation. What's your number? Is it a 510 area code? And then I get their area code and I get their number. So that's the M. Form, family, occupation, recreation, message. So if I'm talking, I see somebody with the Dodgers jersey on, or a Toronto's or an A's jersey or whatever. I'm like, man, it's sad the A's are leaving, huh? Yeah, we already lost the Raiders. Now we're losing the A's. Like, are you going to become a Giants fan now, or what's going to happen? You're going to convert, and then we start laughing. Recreation. And I'll say, by the way, my name is Paul. What do you do for work? That's always a way you can lie. Now I went to O. I went from R to O. Occupation. And then what do you say? Is that something you see yourself doing for the rest of your life? Or do you kind of keep your business options open? And you kind of can nod your head. Is that something you see yourself doing for the rest of your life, or do you keep your business options open? Well, yeah, I keep my business options open. The reason I'm asking is because we're growing a financial services company in the East Bay area, and we're looking for some people that we can develop to run some of our locations. Can't guarantee much, but I think it's worth a conversation. Do you keep your business options open? Absolutely. Why don't we exchange numbers? Do you have a 510 area code? Get the number. Maybe it's F. Oh, your kids are so cute. What are they for Halloween? Oh, they are. Oh, that's so cute what they are for Halloween. Talk to their family. Or maybe the son's getting out of karate practice. What does he do? Taekwondo? Oh, he's in Taekwondo. What belt are you, young man? I'm a purple belt. F. By the way, my name's Paul. My daughter's in Kempo. She just got her her blue with the black stripe. I used to do Taekwondo myself. I think it's so cute. By the way, what do you do for work? And then you go back to O. Does that see yourself something you do for the rest of your life, or do you keep your options open? Yeah, I keep my options open. The reason I'm asking, M, get their number. We would do that all day. That's your job. If you don't have a lot of recruiting going on, that's what you do. We'd be looking at people. Why are you even in the office right now? You have no appointments. Get out of the office. Go meet people. Go get 20 numbers today. Go get 30 numbers today. Go get 50 numbers today. Like, why stop? Why stop at 4 or 5 when you got the rest of the day? Remember, you get paid to prospect here. That's our number one job. That will make you so valuable for you to master the skill of that. I don't even, by the way, I don't tell them, I try not to say we're GFI, we're this and that. We sell IULs and annuities. I keep it as basic as a normal conversation as possible. And then I set up the appointment, and then I meet with them and share it with them. I'm old school still. I know a lot of people are doing all these other things. I'm just like, man, meet somebody, shake their hand, and call them. Stop sending emails. And I don't want to contradict anybody, but I got people sending I decides. I'm like, man, we didn't build. No wonder the recruiting might be going backwards because I don't know. But I'm just like, I just know this. I know what works. You meet somebody, you get their number, you shake their hand, you give them a call, you meet with them, you present, you ask questions. That will always work regardless of technology. All right. So do what you can, but don't hide behind the work that you're actually going to have to do, which is meeting people, shaking hands, and kissing babies, as they say. All right. And guess what? It's not who you know, it's who they know. So when you're recruiting people, it's about their market they can bring to you. It's not necessarily them. The chances are that the person you meet is going to be the superstar is pretty small. The chances are the person you meet that has a cell phone with 100 names in it, and one of those people is a darn Eric Olson, Matt Wells, JR and Cheryl, Dewan and Caitlin, is huge. You got to get into that cell phone. And so that's the real prospecting, is when you meet somebody. Hey, how long have you been in the area? Hey, you got a big family? Oh, I got a big family. Oh, does he have brothers and sisters? Oh, he's got like 4 sisters. Oh, shoot. I already see. I'm already probing the market as I'm talking to people, because we don't just recruit the person, we inherit the market and go through to the market. So, and that's when the explosion comes. Recruiting and prospecting like that is addition. The taproot is multiplication. And then you build a culture of that. So hopefully that helped, Kenya. It's very simple.
Yes, it
Very
did.
simple.
Thank you so much.
Last thing on that. Why not start maybe the first 3 to 5? Yes, 3 to 5 people. Don't even ask them for their number. Just go out to them, say, hey, how's your day going? Oh, what do you do for work? Oh, how do you like it? Oh, okay, great. Yeah, great to meet you. Have a good day at work. Boom. And then warm up. The third one, do you keep your business options open? Then get their number. Sometimes when I'm on the phone, the way I warm up to the phone is I call people that are friendly. And I just warm up on the phone. I'll call this person. I'll call that person. And now that I'm warm, now give me a cold one. Give me that number. Boom, boom, boom. And when you're in the zone and you got momentum, don't put down that phone. And when you got prospecting momentum, keep getting numbers. Don't go home, go to sleep, wake back up, because then you reset all that momentum again. And you're like, there's something about an energy you give off. So anyway, just food for thought.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That was so good. All right, we only have time for a couple more. I don't want to keep Paul all night long, although I think we can go all night, but I don't think you want to. So I think in order, I think it was Samantha, Lacey, and Tiffany. So let's keep the questions quick, and let's go for it. Samantha?
Awesome. Thank you, JR. Thank you so much, Paul. I remember the first time that I actually saw you, JR invited me on earlier in the year, and you came on, and what you said was international, and Mexico, and also Canada. Tell me what is sparking you to recruit in these two particular countries?
Well, I can't say I've really recruited that much in Mexico, but I live in California. So a lot of people feel there's a lot. I've always been around a lot of Mexican people that always felt like taking the information back home. And so whatever fires them up, what got me excited about that international expansion was seeing the excitement on them taking it international. I was even in Canada. I met this lady from El Salvador, and she was just lit up to take it to El Salvador. And I was like, well, unfortunately, it's American companies that are taking it. You got to be an American to go there, but we'll figure it out. So she fired me up. I was like, let's go to El Salvador. Let's go. Right. But Canada, I just think they knew us. Like honestly, I was with every adversity is the seed of a benefit. I got terminated from the practice company. I don't know how many of you were even in that company. Right after Eric, I was the first one. It was Eric and then me. Boom, boom. But they actually called Eric, and Eric had a choice in the matter, and they just terminated me for association,
In
right?
there.
And so I was gone. So that was like adversity, but it was a blessing in disguise because then I took to social media and I started telling my story on social media because when I got into the company, they stole my car. That's what put my back against the wall to work hard. And now they stole my business. So I just said, man, you just woke me up again. And I started putting it out there. And then a lot of Canadians started reaching out to me. What I found, the Canadians they were open. They were open to listen. And that in that market out there, it doesn't matter what company they're with, they'll sit down and listen to what you got. Over
I have
here,
a
they're
Canadian
like,
person. Thank you.
huh?
I have through an associate, a Canadian person that I'm working on recruiting. So
Well, we
thank you
could
for
help you
that.
with that. We could help you. So it wasn't anything like I've never really been to Canada. It's cold up there. Remember, I need an 86-degree pool. The snow and me don't go hand in hand necessarily, but it just became the market that I went with. And when you're in, when you just never know where stuff is going to go. Like I thought my business was going to blow up with all my friends. No, it went in a different direction. I thought I was going to build something here in the Bay Area. Man, I'm all over the place now. So I just go where I find the right people and I could build through. And next thing you know, we just produced a 1%er today. The first 1%er hasn't even been a year yet. They just got contracted in February and they've already went over a $500,000 in income. Like there's some real people out there that want part of GFI. And
Well, you sparked that. Thank you. We have within my downline, because I met you on that Zoom and you let me speak. We're in Jamaica. And so we have our first person that's in Jamaica, but I'm looking to do a lot of international recruiting, even though I'm here in the US. So I just want to say thank you because that just really got me going the first time that I saw you on Zoom.
Cool. And you know, ping pongs, like I just met with the lady today. She's taking me on appointments. I just made her a client. So the people I recruited in Toronto recruited somebody in Vancouver, which is the other coast of Canada. The lady in Vancouver was like, hey, I got a friend in Monterey, California. Now she's the one I'm field training. I got like some of the top, I got like 4 or 5 recruits in my base shop right now from Canada, but they're recruiting in America. So it's all connected. Makes sense? They're about to blow up here in America too. They're out recruiting some of my American-based people in my base shop. So you might go to Jamaica and then ask for the biggest market is here in the US. All right. Just so you know, everybody wants to be a part of the US market, but there's so many avenues. You might go outside of the US to bounce back to get into great markets in the US. You never know. And that's the beautiful thing of networking and taprooting and just where it'll take you. So let's have fun with it.
Awesome. Great question. All right, we got 2 more, Lacey and then Tiffany.
All right. So, Paul, for today's training, appreciate your time and energy. And my question would be along the lines of you mentioned that, we're upcoming EMDs and For me personally, I need help with personal cash flow. I believe all the other components to EMD are pretty much there. What would you recommend or advise if you were in my position and you needed cash flow for EMD?
Well, all EMD promotion is 80+% that your cash flow is 80+% personal. Like you're not going to really override your way to the cash flow needed for EMD. Plus, the people on your team probably aren't even that good enough to get you at a 10 or 10% override for that to produce 100,000. So I would say all the way up to 250,000 plus, 80% is personal. Like when I made 120,000, about 100,000+ of it was personal. When I made 250,000, probably 200,000 of it was personal. Maybe a little bit less, but it's all personal. So how do you get personal? You got one, internal consumption, but then also field training. I'll tell you this, 20 appointments a week is liftoff. Like that's what I found out. There's a lady in my base shop. She's the only other person that's ever done 20 appointments a week. And you know why? Because when I trained her, she took me on her very first week. She took me on 20 appointments and we just blew things up. And ever since then, she was like, holy cow, I just got to book my calendar. And so then I started looking at my calendar and I'm like, man, 20 appointments a week. By the way, that's me at my level. I'm still probably one, other than her, I'm probably one of the most aggressive field trainers in my base shop. I'm scared to let anybody else influence them. I'm the clearest copy. So I got to be the one influencing the most people or else it's going to degrade. You know, even if they're good, there's still a degradation of me because I've been here for a while, right? So you got to be at the tip of the spear. You got to be on the most appointments. You take the best, you match up the rest. Cherry pick the best appointments, the most qualified ones, go on them, and just get your confidence up, whatever you have to. Like for me, it was one, product knowledge, but then the other thing was I just kind of need to know if the answers to people's questions because I don't want to look like an idiot. All right. And so I started asking a million questions, getting all the answers to Eric Carter. He was the one because Eric wasn't even licensed yet, Olson. And so Carter taught me all the answers. I got so confident. I was like, man, let me go on these appointments. And then I found out nobody even asked those questions. I'm like a technical person who just is a nerd, I guess. I'm a product nerd, but I had to learn the product. I had to learn how to answer people's questions. And then I realized fear was false evidence appearing real. Doesn't matter how young you are. Doesn't matter how much money you have. I promise you, everybody will buy from you if you conduct yourself as a professional. Everybody will buy. Every culture, every race, everybody bought from me. You know why? Because they sensed my authenticity and my knowledge of the product and my professionalism. That's it. And I found out human beings are human beings. And then sometimes people come and they're like, I have a thick accent, so I'm nervous. I'm like, look at Mario. Mario didn't even speak English when he really came to the company. Now look at him. All right. Now he still has a thick accent. That don't hold him back. Right. It's all in our head, guys. I'm young. Look at Matt Welsh, where he got to. Or Eric Olson, where he got to. Make sense? So it doesn't matter where you are, guys. It's all in our head. Become a professional. Be an aggressive field trainer. Inspire everybody that Lacey is the busiest field trainer on our team. And then guess what'll happen? The sidelines will start to see that and they'll start to give you appointments too. Just like Kenya was like, Paul, I'll take you on appointments, right? So your sideline, now you guys got appointments coming out of your ears, you cherry pick, next thing you know, you're just closing left and right and then your cash flow's there. That's all, it's just the system.
Thank you, Paul. I needed to do that.
Yep, if it is to be, it's up to me. And you're gonna be proud you did it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, by the way, Lacey is the kind of the beginner of this explosion that we had because she stayed consistent in recruiting licensed agents, and then she recruited one who recruited another who recruited another who recruited another who ended up being Tiffany Peterson.
Well, Lacey's a recruiter for sure. Yeah. She came from probably part of that crowd. I don't know how long she's been, but she came from part of that crowd that would say all that stuff. Mm-hmm. She's a recruiter. But you have to do both, right? And so you master that element. You already got the hardest element down. You master the element of personal production, which, by the way, is the easiest. I promise you it's the easiest. Everybody believes they need to save money. Not everybody believes they can do our business. So if you're a great recruiter, you have a way of getting people to believe. And I promise you, like sales, if you just believe in yourself, it's like you'll be like, what in the world was I lagging on? Like, this is the easiest thing in the world. It really is. All right. So anyway, good stuff, Lacey. I love to see it.
All right, very last one, and it is none other than Miss Tiffany Peterson.
All right. Thanks a lot, JR, for calling on me and let me be the last one. I don't want to hold you long, but based on everything you just shared, Paul, I just got to say thank you again. I knew who you were. I wasn't in the whole practice situation. I knew you from the industry because your name actually beset you, like I told you before. And now to know that we have such close proximity with you really gets me excited too. I'm like JR, I'm super thankful because I feel like I know I'm with the creme de la creme. You had a name for yourself way before. I mean, and
Wow.
outside of the other three letters. And so I would just had to ask you though, listening to everything that you named, everything sounds amazing. Your personality is amazing, all of that. But I'm finding that I heard Eric Olson say he was up for like 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm up for the run, I'm up for the grind. I'll run with the best of them and spend time with people that, want to actually do this and make it work. And I'm just trying to figure out. We recruited, I did like 23 directs and we have like 52 because of hard chargers like the Kenyas, the Lynette, DeAndre, and Nicole who are here. And you know how easy it is to spend time with the players?
Yeah.
But how do you actually find the time? Like, what does your day look like? If you were me right now, just starting out, we're just had 90 days in last week trying to figure out how to actually really block the schedule to find the time for those 20 appointments and find the time to taproot and find the time to do the 20 calls to make sure that they're 4 levels deep like our system requires.
Well, let me take that back a little bit. That 20 appointments is almost all encompassing. So those are interviews and field training. I always tell people 12 to 15 recruiting exposures and then 6 to 8 field training appointments. So combined, an average of 20 appointments that you do per week, right? My strategy was recruit by day, sell by night. All the recruiting is doing is reloading the clip so that I can go on more field training appointments. Because I'm going to run out of field training appointments if all I'm doing is evening appointments and I don't keep recruiting to replenish my field people I'm training. So the question always becomes, and this is also for Lacey and everybody, how many people am I training right now? How many licensed agents are taking me on their 10 training appointments? That's where I get all my appointments, by the way. So if I'm training 5, 6, 7 people on any given month, and even if all 5, 6 people only set up 3 appointments in a month, imagine if that's average, right? If I got 7 people that only set up 3 appointments, they're only doing 3, I'm on 21, right? I can't make you do your 10, but I can make me train multiple people because I can go get more people to train, right? And I had one lady book 20 appointments in a week. The average person does onesies and twosies. So I just have a bunch of them that I'm training. Now, my strategy, recruit by day, sell by night. So during the day, I'm doing everything I can to recruit. And then at nighttime, I just need to make sure I have income producing activity where I'm in front of clients, where I have the chance to close a sale in a qualified market. And that's just the way I did it. Other than that, you do the most productive thing possible at any given moment. And you kind of just, you're just doing whatever you can. Like I got an appointment right now. I got to confirm them. I told them, give me a minute. I'm going to hop on that. If I have somebody like your schedule is like, well, I just need appointments. I just need appointments. It doesn't matter if it's 10 o'clock at night. Doesn't matter if it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be there. Right. And so that's just how I thought. I got to do the most productive thing possible. Every hour, it's like, what am I doing? Darn, my appointment rescheduled. Okay. Can you call one of your teammates during this time and then maybe practice the phone scripts? Make something productive for that hour, even if your appointment flaked. Can I call one of my teammates at night? I didn't close. All right, I'm going to get on the call with one of my guys, and I want him to show me the illustration that he designed that he told me on a field training appointment. So what ends up happening, I guess what I'm saying is when you're really like, when you have your fingers on the pulse of the business, it's kind of like you almost have like a vibration where you know what's going on with your business. You know what the thoughts are of your people. You're intuitive with it. It's almost like when you're with your kids and you're so like obsessed with your kids, right? You know when they're down, you can almost sense it. You know when they're not feeling good. You know when they're lying. You can tell the look on their face, and you just know because that's your life. When your business is your life, you know what's going on at any given time. Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night because your mind is just focused on it, right? And you'll just do whatever you got to do, and you'll have energy doing it, right? So another thing on that, only work with the people that are putting in the effort. I don't care how much money they got. I don't care how little money they got. Are they putting in the effort? And if they're putting in the effort, I can navigate them. If they're not putting in the effort, I'll see you on, what's today, Tuesday? I'll see you on Tuesday. We train the masses in the classes, and we train the right people one-on-one. Don't ever put the one-on-one people only in the classes, and don't let the people that aren't going to do anything suck up all your one-on-one time. Right? That's the way I focused on it. Recruit by day, sell by night, do the most productive thing possible. And you know what happens? You still drop the ball a couple of times. But at the end of the day, if your intentions are there, it's good. And you know what I always wanted to do? Reschedule on somebody else. Like, isn't it cool when one day it's like, I'm going to reschedule on you? I used to hate people rescheduling. I can't wait to the day where I'm going to reschedule on you. Right? When you got 20 appointments, you can't wait for somebody to reschedule. You're like, finally, I get to go eat something, right? So that's just, there was no theory to it. It's like just giving it everything you can from when you wake up to when you're going to sleep, as much as you can. And then even when you're in your car driving, you're listening to audios, you're just pouring it in. You will take 50 years and shrink it down to 5 of work. You could take 30 years and shrink it down to 3 and be done. What you're trying to do is build momentum. Once you got momentum, then all you have to do is keep the momentum. But to get the momentum, you literally got to do the 20 appointments a week. You don't have to do it forever. And then you got to get it on takeoff. It's like water boils at 212 degrees. Planes take flight at whatever it is. I don't know, 190 miles an hour, 200, whatever that is. They can take flight, right? So you got to get that up to speed. And then once it's in air, autopilot. So that's what I mean by the 20 appointments. You don't have to do it forever. I'm not an Eric Olson. I look forward to the day where I don't got to do nothing. Eric said, I'm going to do this for life. I'm like, well, that's why I'm glad you're the leader of the company. Because my butt, I'm about to go get an island and go hang out one day. So I got a light at the end of the tunnel, but hopefully that helps you. Great to see you, Tiffany. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was great, Paul. Long overdue to have you speak to our team. We really appreciate it. Cheryl and I really appreciate it. So I hope you guys got a lot out of it. Hope you took a lot of notes. Yeah, we're just going to keep pushing. We're going to keep building, and we're going to make sure that we stand out and we stand apart. And yeah, it was great nuggets. Great nuggets.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Paul.
Paul. It's
Yes,
amazing.
thank you guys.
Thank you, Paul.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you
One
so
last
much,
nugget.
Paul.
Thank you so much,
I'm gonna give you
Paul.
guys, I'm gonna give you guys a parting nugget. The guy that I'm about to meet with right now, I've been following up with for 6 months. I've been on him. He know me from the practice company too. I've been on him. I had an appointment with him yesterday. I finally coded him this month. The fortunes in the follow-up. All right. So all these things, you never know who's going to join, the people that you think might not, the people that you think don't do, the people that you follow. At the end of the day, if you have the right heart, you do the right things, success is inevitable. It's just a matter of time. Okay. So I'm just like you. I don't close everybody. I don't walk on water. People don't answer my call. People do all that stuff. The only difference, I just keep on going. And I keep a positive attitude, and I don't let what the person did to me yesterday affect who I'm interviewing today. I just reset and start over. Have a good day, guys. Thank you.
Attitude.
So much, Paul.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
Yes.
This is off. If you want, I know it was long. He went long. I didn't want to. I actually didn't give him a time limit. I didn't realize he'd go for almost 2 hours, but I think it was worth